Hello ladies and gents, hope you're all well. And for our church Sunday this week we've got a nice old East London working class one really, Christchurch Cubitt Town, which is now twinned with St John's and St Luke's, two churches that were lost in the war, which we'll see images of inside this church. I wanted to begin with this image. This is Christchurch looking at it straight down Manchester Road, and apart from the church this view no longer exists because the buildings on either side were either destroyed in the Second World War, cleared as the post-war slum clearances, or removed during the building of George Green School. So this view, apart from the church, as I say, no longer exists. But this picture was taken in 1890, and this church has a personal link to my ancestry and family because my great-grandmother Maud Wanless and her brother Joe Wanless, who was a year older than her, were both christened in this church. And in this photo, over to the right, if you see where the lady with the pram is Barkew Street, and that's where Joseph and Maud were both born. There will be an ancestry part, but that I'll keep separate and put on as the part 2 for those of you who are interested, and for those of you who are not, you won't have to watch it. But yeah, it's, as I say, a personal link with this one for me. And during the tour of the church you will even see the document, a copy of the original document, and massive thanks to the church warden of this church for helping me with this one. The original document of my great-grandmother's christening, so that I will show in the main part of the video. But in the ancestry bit we go more into the complexity and ancestry of my family and whatnot on that. But yeah, wanted to begin with this view. But Cubitt Town really owes his existence, and the church owes his existence to Sir William Cubitt here. Is his image and some of his particulars. He also served as Lord Mayor of London at one point, so a very interesting man who did quite a lot. But yeah, he built the church really entirely at his own expense, because Christchurch in Manchester Road was built by William Cubitt entirely at his own expense, on land donated by the Countess of Glengall in 1855. And this is the Countess of Glengall, Margaret Loretta Butler, née Mellish, a rich, wealthy heiress in her own right even before she married. But yeah, she donated the land that it was built on, and William Cubitt funded the building of the church entirely because it was built without the consent of the diocese, you see. Donated by Countess of Glengall in 1855. This picture of herself was taken on the 22nd of October 1860. The church was not consecrated until 1857 because, according to the Survey of London, the interior was not considered fit for the performance of divine service. So yeah, they had to tart the inside up a bit basically. The names of those who contributed towards the endowment fund of the church in 1857 are painted on a benefactor's board, which we will see inside, which is mounted on the wall in the church. Next to each name is the amount of their contribution. £100 in 1857 is worth approximately £11,400 as of 2023. After adjusting for inflation, the 10 shillings contributed by Mr. George White are today worth £57. So that's the history of this one covered, and you'll be joining me for the tour of it in a minute. One thing I shall say, someone commented on YouTube the other day about including people in my church tours and that it makes it confusing. What you don't realise is a lot of these people are actually the history of the church. Without them, these churches wouldn't exist, so it would be a shame and very remiss of me not to mention or show them as part of the history. My style of presenting isn't for everyone, and if it's not, don't watch. If it is, thank you for watching, liking and sharing. Now join me for the tour of this lovely old church. And there we are, the modern Manchester Road, and the only thing that remains from our original picture of what we started off with is the church, and even that's fairly obscured by trees. But yeah, this is Manchester Road, and Barkew Street would have been up there somewhere on the left, but none of that exists anymore. Yeah, I'll start us off with this view, so I shall pause you and then you'll join me for exterior views of the church. Here we are, Glenafric Avenue and the church today. Get some exterior views of it. Lovely bell tower. Just through there are the modern cremations for the modern parishioners, and that bit's gated off, but I wouldn't show that anyway because it's modern day people. This is the war memorial. Remember before God, the gallant dead, whose names are written here, though their bodies lie in other lands. They gave their lives for king and country. August 1914 to 19. Grant them, O Lord, eternal rest, and let light perpetual shine upon them. You will see the roll of honour inside the church. Here's its vicarage over there, and massive thanks to Reverend Pike for unlocking the church for me. I was very pleased with that. It was very kind. You don't often get that kind of thing. Yeah. Here's the back side of the church. Churchyard, and the old vicarage there, which is original as well for the church, so that's nice that that's remained. Right, my dears, in we shall go. And in we go. It's a lovely one, this. The weather isn't too great today, I'm afraid. As I say, this church is twinned with St John's and was twinned with St Luke's until very recently, but a new St Luke's church has been built very recently, so it's no longer. The reordering of the west end of Christchurch was made possible by contributions from the London Docklands Development Corporation, 1983. The parish church of Christchurch and St John. The reordering of Christchurch was made possible by contributions from, and that was in 1982 as well. But yeah, as I said in the intro about the two lost churches, World War II casualties, unfortunately. This is St John's. That's it, the height of its damage, but we see it intact. This is a permission visit today, this one. I had to call, and the vicar very kindly unlocked the church for me and allowed me inside. So, a massive thanks. Church stood on the corner of Manchester Road and Resterton Street. It was consecrated in 1872. Two photographs show the church in the 1940s after it had been damaged by a bomb. It's a shame. And that's what lost that church, that bomb damage. And here we have a map, which is a map of the Isle of Dogs 1899 to 1900, showing the places of religious worship, public elementary schools, houses licensed for the sale of intoxicating drinks. There was a hell of a lot of public houses. All the blue ones are the public houses. After this church, we will be covering one of those original public houses. It's renovated inside, but in its original building. This is St Luke's at Millwall. I'll just move this back, that's it. Now this one, as you can see, or we'll see in a sec, suffered like more or less complete destruction in the war. And what a shame, because there's a lovely church. As I say, a massive thank you to Reverend Pike for unlocking the church for me today. And we'll be having another thank you in a minute when we go into the main body of the church. Right, that's our 2 lost churches. And now for our survivor, which has ancestral links for me, so you very kindly put the lights on for me as well. Here we are in the main body of the church, and the thing that draws me here, I will do, as I've said, a complete separate ancestral video of this one, but I did want to show it, the reason for my coming here today. Baptism solemnised at the Parish Church of Christ Church, Poplar, the county of Middlesex, because it was Middlesex in those days, 1889, and we go down to here, October the 2nd, Maud, daughter of Joseph and Anne Wanlis. They was living at 72 Manchester Road by this time, because she was a year and 1 month old when they christened her. And the father's occupation is a plater. He's a plater at the ironworks. And the reverend or curate that christened my great-grandmother is J.B. Kite. And she would have been christened in this font. So there we are. I should put my document back so I don't forget it. And then we'll start off with a little something very lovely. This is Edward the Confessor, the King and the Martyr. Anyone that's been on my page for a while will remember the documentary I did on his life and his exhumation, and the sapphire ring and sceptre that was found in with him when they exhumated him, and which became part of the old crown jewels lost under Cromwell. But that sapphire in that ring that he holds still survives today in the royal crown, state crown. So that's a little piece of history there. Edward, King and Confessor. To the glory of God, and gratitude to the memory of Edward Hartley, priest, vicar, 1902 to 1920. So, yeah, that's a beautiful bit of stained glass. And here you've got the Stations of the Cross. They go right around the walls. I'll cover these quickly and then I'll move us back to where we were. The vicar said, "Oh, sorry, we haven't got the chairs out today because there's a karate class in here later on." I actually don't mind that because it leaves this lovely church open for us to have a look at. Back to where we were. Stations of the Cross. The Lamb by Paula Hortney. I've photographed that, so You will see that in the photographs eventually. This church has a really impressive organ as well, an organ loft. There's that font. I love this, just to think that my great-great-grandparents would have stood here with both of their children and christened them. It's just... Reverend John at Barking calls it the spirit of place, but it's an amazing feeling. Here we are. Oh, I'm glad I lifted that off. Declare the wonderful deeds of him who called you out of darkness into his marvellous light. In memory of May Winifred. Bear with me a minute. May Winifred Jones, 1923 to 1989. There we are. I don't normally do that in churches, but being such a personal link is, yeah. Another Station of the Cross. These boards on the wall encompass like the whole history of the area, but I won't go into that because it would take an entire separate video in its own right. We're here for the church and its ancestral links, mostly for the church. Now that's the impressive organ I was telling you about. Even the ceiling of this one is very, very impressive. Saving, of course, the high altar till last. But as we mentioned in the opening scene, really, of the benefactors, this is the benefactors board. Contributions towards the church, towards the endowment fund of this church. Countess of Glengore, £1,000 she gave. I'll zoom in and I will scroll you down the list. There she is, right at the very top. See, Sir William Cubitt fought the bill, the initial bill for this to be paid for. And then everyone, all these lovely people, contributed to it, because it wasn't just the building, it had to be fitted out inside, endowed with a priest, all that. And there we are, Mr. George White, who gave 10 shillings, which is £57 odd in today's money, I think that was right. There we are. That's the benefactors board, and we've got a nice bit of stained glass here as well. Oops. That was my stomach. I don't know if you heard that noise, but that was my stomach grumbling. To the glory of God and the memory of his servant. Servants shall serve him, to the glory of God and the grateful memory of the ladies of St Mildred's House, 1897 to 1957, Francis Bateman, Kaylee, head of the house, 1900 to 1902, and they shall see his face. A lovely bit of stained glass. Piano under there. Stations of the Cross. It's nice when you get a permission visit because it's more personal, if you know what I mean. It's just you and the church, which is very nice. Stations of the Cross, as I said. Our Lady of Walsingham. Memorial to the Incarnation, Angelus. And something special. All those killed in action during the Second World War, the memorial book, which is set at this beautiful shrine altar. The weather's really bad out today, proper nasty, but it's nice and warm and dry and snug in here. I like the work and craftsmanship that goes into these kinds of things. And you've also got the beautiful pulpit, which is very much what they called arts and crafts of the Victorian era. Very delicate and handmade, and with some lovely imagery on it. Until my great-grandmother was about 9, this would have been, and her brother and family and that, this would have been the church they attended. And I always save the best till last, and it was a hard choice for this one to find which was the best. But I think we can agree that this is exceptionally impressive, isn't it? I am the root and the offspring of David, and the bright and morning star. And the bright and morning star and the Spirit and the bride, saying, "Come, whosoever will let him take the water of life freely." And this is quite a rare and original parish organ, converted to electricity nowadays, of course. Oh, and another beautiful piece that I forgot to highlight, just tucked away in this corner here, is this lectern. See, in the old days, when you had like the high church as it was known, there would have been a totally different style of preaching, very much being preached to. But nowadays the church is more open with its style of preaching, or most of it is anyway. And this is another stunning piece, it really is. Very plain on the opposite side. It's the choir. This is the part that was reordered in the 1980s. The original stained glass window was damaged and pretty much blown out in the Second World War. Same as these ones here. Bombs landed nearby and damaged the back end of the church, but not destroyed. It was patched up and carried on going, unlike our two more or less completely destroyed ones that we saw at the beginning of the video. The cross, processional cross, processional lanterns. But this chair is a lovely old piece, and it is original to the church as well. And on it, it's either the Green Man or Bacchus, the Roman god of wine. More than likely Bacchus or Bacchus, because you've got the grapes. You have the altar rail. Beautiful piece in itself. All hand engraved, and all hand carved, sorry. And good old English oak. And now for the high altar itself.
Whether these images are a representation of what the windows were before, I don't know. But and in that box there is where the bread and the wine is kept for the communion. And on the altar burns the ever-present light of God. Isle of Dogs, its banner. And last, but most definitely not least, and it's tucked away under here, is the Roll of Honour. Roll of Honour for me. Bear with me a minute while I pause. And it's proper wedged, so some of the names we are going to miss, I'm afraid. All hand illuminated, Roll of Honour of those who served in the Great War, Millwall, London. I wanted to show these men because it's important. They gave their lives for others. Their name liveth forevermore. It's a shame that's tucked under there like that, but here we are. There's not much I can do about that, I'm afraid. And in here is the chapel of St. John the Apostle. Another station of the cross there, and there. Put our flash on. Oh, it goes right down. I can't uncover all that. That door is the door into the bell tower, by the way. Someone suggested in one of my YouTube videos that it looks like I'm casing the joint. Well, I think that statement says more about them than me, but there we are. Because I show the collection boxes in my videos, I do that so it may encourage people to donate, or if they visit the place themselves they won't have to hunt around or ask where the collection box is, because they're normally quite discreetly put away. Like on that wall over there in that box, that's where it is. There's a little slit you put the money through. It's all lockable or anything, so yeah. Ah, no, that's the door into the bell tower. Francis. There we are. I hope you've all enjoyed this one and found it interesting. Thanks very much for watching. There we are, that's better, isn't it? This is all hand done and hand written. Keeps going blurry. Look, it's all hand calligraphy, that is. That's beautiful. All hand illuminated. We have these men a lot, don't we?